Hello, welcome or welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Mary and today's video is going to be a book haul from the first couple of months of the year. So I have been buying books. I have been reading books. I have not been posting as many videos as I would like. I've talked about that a lot. So at this point, I'm filming a lot of these videos back to back because I'm going to be out of town for like 3 weekends in May. And I want to have stuff that can go up during those times. So I think I'm saying a lot of the same things in all of these videos. So I do apologize if that's annoying for you. Maybe I'll edit it out in editing, but probably not because I'm also going to edit them before I go. I have been to Barnes & Noble a few different times. So I did not get all of these at the same time, but I did purchase all of these from Barnes & Noble. I hope that makes sense. I lied. I have one book that I did not purchase from Barnes & Noble. I believe I purchased this at Revolution Records here in Kansas City, which is a record store that also sells books. There are a couple that do that. The ones that I know of off the top of my head that I frequent are Revolution Records, which is in the Crossroads area, and then Mills, which is on Mill Street in Westport area. So if you're in the Kansas City area and you were looking for, if you're like a dual hobbyist, like you collect vinyl and books, or if you, like me, have a partner that collects vinyl and you like books, it really helps. It's a very fun date day. So I got Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel. And this is the second, I think, book by her that I've purchased because I bought one of them from Mill Street, actually. Glass Hotel. That's what it's called. Where is it? Oh, it's right here. Okay, great. It is the Glass Hotel. It's right here. I did buy that from another record store, bookstore combo, but the woman at that store told me that these are connected narratives, or like, I don't think they're connected narratives, but they're like theme-wise connected. And so she recommended that I read them in order so I can get the best, like, full story. And I believe this is the first one. If that's not true, I will search out the first one and buy that before I start reading these. But this, I think, is a sci-fi dystopia book. It says, Kristen Raymond will never forget the night Arthur Leander, the famous Hollywood actor, had a heart attack on stage during a production of King Lear. That was also the night when a devastating flu pandemic arrived in the city, and within weeks, civilization as we knew it came to an end. 20 years later, Kirsten moves between the settlements of the altered world with a small troupe of actors and musicians. They call themselves the Traveling Symphony, and they have dedicated themselves to keeping the remnants of art and humanity alive. But when they arrive in St. Deborah by the water, they encounter a violent prophet who will threaten the tiny band's existence. And as the story takes off, moving back and forth in time and vividly depicting life before and after the pandemic, the strange twist of fate that connects them will all be revealed. So I think this book came out in 2020 or 2021, like around the time when the pandemic was affecting all of our lives. And a lot of people said that it was like uncanny valley reading this and they couldn't read this at that time. Or at least people that I follow said that. So I'm very interested to read this. It also was a finalist for the Penn Faulkner Award. It says it right here on the back. But yeah, I'm very excited to read this. I really do want to give Emily St. John Mandel a chance because people seem to really enjoy her writing and I've heard very good things. I also personally love, not like a battered paperback because I wouldn't consider this exceptionally battered, but like a well-worn book. There's something about it. That's why I usually prefer paperbacks, and I also usually prefer to buy used, but put all of that aside for now because I did buy several new books from Barnes & Noble. So I'm gonna go through these in the order in which I bought them. The first time I went to Barnes & Noble, I really wanted to get this. It was 20% off, as you can see. I feel like a lot of their brand new hardbacks are often 20% off because you'll see that's a theme. Another one that I got was also 20% off for Barnes & Noble. But this is Babel by R.F. Kuang. It came out last fall and people have talked about this a lot. I've heard mostly rave reviews. Some people said that the reviews were so high that they had really high expectations and the book did not meet their expectations, or that they felt like some of the themes in this book were too obviously done. But other people really, really love this book. So I'm excited to see sort of where I fall on that spectrum because I'm the type of person who I tend to not like when an author is like really pressing a point. Even if it's a point I agree with, I can find it kind of tedious to read. So this is kind of a R.F. Kuang's Dark Academia debut. She also wrote The Poppy War, which I really want to read, but I have not read yet. But this is a standalone, and I believe the character's name is Robin. I was wrong. His name is Robin. But Robin is, I want to say, of Chinese descent. Yes. Robin is of Chinese descent. He's living in England, and he was taken to Oxford to work in the languages department, in the translation department. And essentially, I think what happens is there's a lot of people in this department who are from the countries where the languages that they are trying to translate originated. I hope that makes sense. So like he is translating Chinese and Mandarin for them. And the reason behind that is that there is like a magic in languages and learning different languages, which is a magic system that I find very interesting. It was similarly done in the first book in the Scholomance series, which I have not continued in. I plan to still, kind of, but I don't know. I did read the first book and I really liked that aspect of it, but other parts of the book I did not love. But I still remember the cliffhanger and I really enjoyed that. So, sidetrack. But this book follows Robin and the other people in the Oxford translations department. And I think it's him grappling with like basically selling out his culture and his people to England. Because at this time, I think when this is like set, obviously it's historical fantasy, but when this is set, I want to say it's during the opioid crisis or before or just after or somewhere in the realm of when England was colonizing, which is like a long time that England was spending colonizing the rest of the world. I won't lie to you. But so I'm excited to read this. Again, I love the idea that language holds magic and power because I do think that's very true. That's like a trope in fantasy that I really enjoy that I don't think I was able to pinpoint until like this moment. But I'm very excited to get to this at some point. It's huge, which is why I have not read it yet. I'm like very intimidated by this book, but it's beautiful. And now I can bring it out of this bag that I've just had sitting here since January and finally present it to you as something that I would like to read at some point in the near future, hopefully. I also kind of wanted to wait for the hype to die down on that one a little bit, which it has. Because I feel like everyone was reading it for like a 6-month period and that period is sort of past. So I just didn't want to read it in the midst of the hype because I was worried that would be getting to me. The other books that I picked up during that trip to Barnes & Noble, I picked up Kindred by Octavia E. Butler because they made a show on Hulu that I wanted to watch. That's the main reason I picked this up. But this is a dystopian book about a girl who is, I don't know how old she is, so she might be a woman, I'm really not sure. But she's a 20th century Black woman and somehow goes back in time to slave times. And I don't know that it says this, but based on the name, I'm kind of sure that she finds like a family member and is like experiencing the life of a slave. It's got to have some other thing happening in it, but I like time travel in books. This has time travel in it. And I've heard amazing things about Octavia E. Butler, and I really want to give her a try. So she's one of those names in sci-fi that I'm like, okay, yeah, I've heard of her. People rave about it. I need to read it. So hopefully I get to that at some point as well. Because again, I would like to watch the show, and I think that it's a show that my partner could be interested in watching with me. And that's usually the types of shows that I like to watch, shows that he will watch with me. Then Barnes & Noble has this thing where they buy one 50% off. They do this a lot and it gets me every time. You'll see it got me the second trip that I took to Barnes & Noble as well. But for this, I got We Came, We Saw, We Left by Charles Whelan, which is, I think, about a family who takes a gap year from their lives, basically. They rent an RV and they travel. I think they do like the national park circuit. I'm very curious to see what this is going to be about and like what's sort of happened in this. This is like a dream vacation of mine, doing like the national park tour. I had a friend in high school whose parents did a similar like family vacation for them one summer, where they spent like, they flew out somewhere. I want to say it was like they flew out to California or Washington and then rented an RV, drove down through all like the Redwood Forest and all of the like national parks along that route, and then flew back. Because I'm from Dallas, so they flew back to Dallas. But I remember being like very jealous of her that her family took that trip because it sounded so cool. But then also knowing that like at that point she had all younger siblings, I have all older siblings. So at that point it would have just been me and my parents in an RV, and I think we would have killed each other. So I don't know. I love the concept of this. I think it's very interesting. I'm also the person that like I have worked really hard in my life and I'm continuing to work really hard for the goal of like, I don't want to have work become my whole life. I would like to have work be able to supplement my real life. Like that's the reason that I work in the field that I work in. That's like why I'm doing what I'm doing. I don't want to do it to where I'm working 90 hours a week, 52 weeks out of the year, and like not spending my time and the money that I earn from that doing things that I want to do. I want to be able to take really nice vacations. So it's a dream of mine. I want to read that book and see how it went for them and see maybe how I can make it work for me. And then I also got The Appeal by Janice Hallett. And it says, 1 murder, 15 suspects. Can you uncover the truth? And so I don't know if it's, I think it's like a traditional murder mystery type thing. I'm not sure if it's like intended to be the audience is like the detective, the audience being me, like the reader, is the detective like reading through it or what. But it's a local theater group in the midst of rehearsals when tragedy strikes the family of director Martin Hayward and his wife, Helen, the play's star. Their young granddaughter has been diagnosed with a rare form of cancer, and with an experimental treatment costing a tremendous sum, their castmates rally to raise the money to give her a chance at survival. But not everybody is convinced of the experimental treatment's efficacy, nor of the good intentions of those involved. As tension grows within the community, things come to a shocking head at the explosive dress rehearsal. The next day, a dead body is found, and soon an arrest is made. In the run-up to the trial, two young lawyers sift through the material, emails, messages, letters, with a growing suspicion that the killer may be hiding in plain sight. The evidence is all there between the lines waiting to be uncovered. I really like the idea of this kind of story, so I want to read this to see if it works for me. I think I've heard people talk about this. I feel like I've heard people say that they didn't really like it. So let me know if that's not what you've heard, but it just sounds intriguing to me, and I want to read it. Then, the next time I went to Barnes & Noble, I picked up Lessons in Chemistry, which if you see my TBR for May, you already know, by Bonnie Garmus. I am joining a book club here in Kansas City because I moved here last August, and I want to make friends who have similar hobbies to me, so I was like, I'm going to join an in-person book club. There's a, like, wine bar bookstore semi-near to me, like, probably 10 minutes away, 5-10 minutes away. So, and their book they meet in June, and they're reading this. So I'm going to read this in May so that I can be prepared to go to book club in June and hopefully make friends. That is my plan. But this, I think, is a romance set in the 60s about a woman in STEM who, there's a grumpy, I think it's like a Grump Sunshine type thing. It might not even be Grump Sunshine, but it sounds like he is pretty curmudgeonly, and he takes an interest in her. And I think it's going to, like, sort of, because I don't think this is like standard romance. I think this is more like literary romance or like general women's fiction. So it's got like a love story plot, but there's also more going on. And I'm excited to see how I feel about this one. I've heard, again, amazing things about it. People seem to really, really like it, but also I'm trying not to let the hype get to me because I tend to overthink when things get really hyped up. That's also why the more hyped up a book is, the less I try to learn about it before reading it, because I'm worried that I won't like it as much. And then I have two more things that I want to share with you that were both, again, buy one, get one 50% off. I just spoiled it a little bit. I got My Sister the Serial Killer by Oyinkan Braithwaite. I don't think I pronounced that right, so I really do apologize. This is, I believe, set in Nigeria. Am I right? Doesn't say. But it's about this woman who, her sister kills all her boyfriends. The woman's name is X, her sister's name is Y. Y kills all of Y's boyfriends, and X helps her cover it up. They have names, I just don't know what their names are. I'm sure it's on the back. But I think what happens is X falls in love with Y's boyfriend and doesn't want Y to kill him, I want to say is the plot of this. Yes, Korede has long been in love with a kind, handsome doctor at the hospital where she works. She dreams of the day when he will realize that she's exactly what he needs. But when she asks Korede for Ayula's phone number, she must reckon with what her sister has become and how far she's willing to go to protect her. So, I'm really interested in this. I love a story about sisters. I've said that a million times. I really do like a sibling relationship explored in books. I also think it sounds like a fun time. I'm not sure how seriously they treat the subject matter, because murder obviously is a very serious thing, but I think some books will like sort of take a light look at it. And I don't know how it's going to be handled in here, but I am excited to read this. It is giving 27 Dresses, but murder. So I'm very excited to read it. And then I also got Night Bitch by Rachel Yoder, which I'm going to read you the back because I don't know what this is about. I just love the name and the cover, and it was a cover and name by, but I put it on my TBR probably a year or two ago because of the cover and the name. And it just, like, I don't know what it's about, but it sounds like something I would like to read. And also, I was looking through the books trying to find another buy one, get one 50% off, because I almost bought We Came, We Saw, We Left with this, again, because it was still on that offer. And I was like, I'm pretty sure I got this last time I was here, so I don't want to buy a second copy. But I just had them in this bag because I'd been meaning to film this book haul, and so I'm really glad I didn't buy a second copy of that. But this says, an ambitious mother puts her art career on hold to stay at home with her newborn son, but the experience does not match her imagination. 2 years later, she steps into the bathroom for a break from her toddler's demands, only to discover a dense patch of hair on the back of her neck. In the mirror, her canine suddenly looks sharper. Her husband, who travels for work 5 days a week, casually dismisses her fears from faraway hotel rooms. As the mother's symptoms intensify, her temptation to give in to her new dog impulses peaks, and she struggles to keep her altered canine identity a secret. Seeking a cure at the library, she discovers a mysterious academic tome that becomes her Bible, a field guide to magical women, a mythical ethnography. And meets a group of mommies involved in a multi-level marketing scheme who may also be more than what they seem. An outrageously original novel of ideas about art, power, and womanhood wrapped into a satirical fairy tale. Rachel Yoder's Night Bitch will make you want to howl in laughter and recognition. So again, this premise, like the traveling husband, the husband who travels for work, the working woman who has put her career on hold to be a mother, is very reminiscent of The Need by Helen Phillips. Obviously, these are going to be very different books, but I'm excited to see the fantastical spin that this book gives to it. Because dark fairy tale sounds a little bit more up my alley than what that book ended up being. Although that book on its face sounded like it would be something I really loved. So I'm curious to see if I like this. I don't know if I will, but if you've read this or any of these books for that matter, please let me know in the comments below how you felt about them. Also, I read the book The Need for a horror reading blog that I will link for you if you are interested. But that is going to be it. Those are all of the, I think, 6 books that I purchased from Barnes & Noble in the last 4 months. And 7, actually, because I also got Station 11 from a used bookstore. But let me know in the comments down below what book you bought most recently. Also, let me know, of course, if you've read any of these books, how you felt about them. And I will see you in another video very soon.